Martin O'Neill looks set to be staying on as Celtic interim manager in the meantime, but the big question is, how much longer will he be in charge of the club? Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football, and the answer to that, well, it could be for longer than most people thought, because interestingly enough, Martin O'Neill's odds have been slashed big time in terms of the next permanent Celtic manager, and we'll look a little bit at the odds towards the end of this video, but for now it appears that Martin O'Neill isn't going anywhere. Him and Maloney look set to continue their interim spell at Celtic as the manager and assistant manager, and there was an update recently on Celtic TV where Martin O'Neill says that he plans on being there at the weekend to take on St Mirren, and if there's not an announcement over the next few days, then that'll be the case, and it doesn't look like there's going to be an announcement over the next few days. Celtic's links with Wilfred Nonce appear to have dropped off a little bit. He's still the favourite for the job, but the talks don't really seem to be capturing the news at the moment. They're not the centre of attention, and maybe that's because of the international break. Maybe the talks are advancing, but right now we're not seeing anything. So I believe that Martin O'Neill will still be in charge come the weekend. I think that he has earned that right almost. I don't think he's come in and done a bad job at all. I wouldn't necessarily say he's done great, but he's done what you would expect him to do. Yeah, they had that disappointing result in Europe, of course, losing 3-1 to Michelin sucked, but in the league games, he's won them, and he beat Rangers in the semi-final. So I think if you offered Celtic that, they would have taken that when they got rid of Brendan Rodgers. I think they knew the Michelin game was always going to be difficult, but he's come in and he's won the other three, so fair play to him. But this is what Martin O'Neill said to Celtic TV. He says, quote, "If there's not an announcement now in the next few days, then I'm happy to still be here for the weekend game against St Mirren. First of all, we want the players coming back from international matches unscathed, which is the most important thing for us now that we've got a few injuries to contend with. So whatever sort of squad we had for the Kilmarnock game, I wouldn't mind having roughly the same again. But we can only deal with what we have and what we want to do. And we just want to play as strongly as we possibly can. But let's see what the next couple of days bring." End of quote. So he's making it clear that he is content to be there and he's happy to be there. And he wants to be there almost for the next game against St Mirren. I think he will be there. It's Monday right now. I'm not sure if we're going to get this Wilfred Nancy coming in. I think that if we were going to see Celtic appoint a manager over the international break, I just think the talks would be more advanced right now. I feel like they would almost have announced it, but they're waiting. I mean, who knows? I remember the last time when Rangers were on the international break and they were waiting to appoint a manager, and then Stephen Smith took control one game after the break. I think it was before Danny Roll came in, so it could be something similar to that here. Maybe Wilfred Nonce is the man, but he won't be ready for the game at the weekend. That is possible, and it could be his next game is the one after that, which I think is a European fixture for Celtic. But yeah, if you look at Celtic's next 6 fixtures, 5 of them are massive games, absolutely massive games. So the first game back for Celtic, Saturday 22nd of November, they have to go to Paisley, St Mirren in the league away from home. Then on the 27th of November, they have to go to Holland and they play Feyenoord away in the Conference League. Then on the 30th of November, they have to go away to Easter Road to take on Hibs in the league. Then they have a relatively easy game on the 3rd of December in the league against Dundee at home, Celtic Park. Expect them to win that without any issues. 7th of December, they've got Hearts at Celtic Park. That'll be a massive game. Well, probably, unless something crazy happens, that will be 1st versus 2nd in the league. And then on the 11th of December, they have Roma in the Europa League. And obviously, due to the poor start that Celtic have had in that competition, that is going to be a game where they need to get something out of. So these next games are massive for Celtic. And I mean, outside of that Dundee game, they're all tricky matches and they're all going to be difficult to get positive results from. So you would believe that Celtic would want to get the permanent manager in quicker, sooner rather than later. Now, there was talks that they would be waiting to December because the guy that they wanted wouldn't be available until December. That was Knutson. I don't think Knutson personally is going to take the job. He's done such a good job at his club, whose name is Bodo Glimt, that's the one. He's done such a good job there. Plus, they've got some massive Champions League fixtures coming up over the next 2 months, and I feel like Knutson has done an incredible job. He's transformed Bodo Glimt into a Champions League side. I don't think the timing's right for him, especially with this extended Champions League campaign. Normally, you're heading into December and the group stages of Europe are almost over, but because Europe's longer now, we know that the games drag out into January. I just don't think Knutson is going to leave Bodo Glimt after all the success that he's had and all the hard work he's put in building that team. I just don't see him leaving in December when they've still got a chance of qualifying and there is some massive Champions League games available. So, yeah, no, I think if Knutson was going to go to Celtic and leave, I think it'd be more likely to happen in January, depending on how they go in the Champions League. And are Celtic willing to wait to January? That we do not know. Some other managers that they were looking at, one being Kieran McKenna. He is now 12-1 with the bookmakers. Doesn't look like he's going to be going to Celtic. Apparently, financially, he's just out of reach. You got Ange Postecoglou, who is now 33-1. I think after spells at Spurs and Nottingham Forest, he's been paid a lot of money recently, and maybe he's just not ready to jump back into football, especially Scottish football. So doesn't look like Ange is going to be getting the job. Steve Clarke, 50-1. That's a possibility, but I do think Steve Clarke will see out the remainder of Scotland's World Cup qualifying campaign. Whether that has to drag out into March or whether we get the job done and then he's going to be there for the World Cup, I just don't see Clarke leaving to go to Celtic. I maybe could see it at the end of the season after the World Cup in the summer, but it won't happen before then. So yeah, the top two in the bookies odds, Wilfred Nonce still 1-5. He was 1-5 last week. He's 1-5 this week. However, in second place is Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill is now the second favourite to become the permanent manager of Celtic Football Club, which is kind of crazy considering he is 73 years old. Now, he's a legend at the club and he's done a decent job, but permanent manager, I'm just not sure I see that in Martin O'Neill's future. Now, if he was to take it, I would have to imagine it would be a very short-term deal, perhaps maybe an 18-month contract that sees him get it till the end of the 2026-2027 campaign. I don't think it would be any longer than that. It possibly could be even as short as just to the end of the season, and maybe they would just rather give him that permanent manager role rather than keep him stuck with the interim tag. But I think it's going to be a big January window for Celtic as well. I think they need to strengthen. I think they need to improve. I think we will see players leave. Dyson Maeda pretty much looks like he's going to be leaving the club. So I do think they need a manager in. And if Martin O'Neill's not the long-term future for the club, which I don't think at his age he can be, then I just don't necessarily know if it's a good fit to keep him there, even if he is doing pretty well. I think Celtic need a permanent manager. I think they need to get the guy that they plan on being there for the foreseeable future in sooner rather than later. Even if they leave it to December, you're not giving the new manager a lot of time to come in and get familiar with the squad and to see which areas he wants to improve in and which areas he wants to buy in and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I think that the new manager should be coming in soon. I think the longer they leave it, the more trouble they're going to put themselves in. It could be a case Martin O'Neill takes over to the end of the season. That's a possibility as well. But I'm just not convinced Wilfred Nonce is A, going to happen, and B, I'm not even sure he's the best fit for Celtic. I don't really see many Celtic fans clamouring here to get Wilfred Nonce in. I don't see many Celtic fans eager to get this one over the line. And yeah, I just don't think he just doesn't look that good of a manager, to be honest. He doesn't seem to have the achievements and success that a Celtic manager should have. But again, similar to Ange didn't exactly have a lot of success at big leagues or big clubs, and he came in and done a great job. So maybe Wilfred Nonce could be the same. But Ange he can't kind of come in through the back door. You know, Wilfred Nancy appears to have been at the Celtic front door now for a long time. So yeah, it's a strange one. I don't know what I would do. I think Knutsen would probably be the best choice. I just don't see him leaving Bodo Glimt. I don't think it will happen. Why would he leave with a shitload of big Champions League matches left to play? If they want Knutsen, I think they're going to have to wait until at least the end of January, and can Celtic afford to do that? Basically, giving up another transfer window? I don't think so. So we'll see what happens. But Wilfred Nancy is 1-5. He is the bookies' favourite. And then you've got Martin O'Neill, the second favourite, at 5-1. So yeah, it could be Martin O'Neill, but it looks like it will definitely be him, at least until the weekend. Even if Wilfred Nancy does get announced over the next few days, there is a chance that Martin O'Neill could be in charge for that St Mirren game anyway. Maybe Wilfred Nancy won't be there in time for that, so we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, that's it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Martin O'Neill, would you take him to the end of the season, or does Celtic need to get a manager in ASAP? Let us know what you think down below. I'll catch you in the next one. Till then, peace.